Okay, so yes, welcome once again to day 2 of this Sangha Retreat, and lovely to see so many of you here. So we're going to carry on from where we started yesterday, looking at this whole area of this what enlivens us, what engages us in the practice of Sangha. And today I'm going to be looking at really receptivity as the basis for the practice of Sangha. So what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to share some of the key principles for creating these conditions that can support us to see more clearly what we're describing as the veils, which tend to distort and disturb our relational lives. Because I see this recognition of the veils as really the primary means which we're going to bring to an end the causes of dissatisfaction and suffering. So I'm going to be talking about the nature of awareness, and I'm also going to be talking about the classic teaching of the gap. Which hopefully is very familiar to us, but I think it's really an important teaching that we can come back to again and again. I'm going to say a very little bit about the veils and then lead us through a guided reflection and end with 3 ways which we can obscure our potential meeting. So I'm going to try and cover quite a lot of ground in quite a short time. And as I was yesterday, I am going to be reading this talk, but I will try to meet you as far as possible. So let's see how we go. So I want to start by saying I want to acknowledge that individually, we don't always have this capacity for kind awareness in ourselves. And it's for this reason that the practice of Sangha is so helpful. So together, we create a collective mirror of awareness that we are serving, but is not our sole responsibility. So I heard the other day someone talking about the spiritual life developing asymmetrically. And I thought this very much applies to the practice of Sangha. So some days we'll really be on it, we'll be alert, we'll be curious, enlivened and engaged. And other days we'll be reaching for our duvets. And I think this is completely natural and normal. And fortuitously, because we each have our own rhythm, the doorway to awareness is kept open. So we can lean into each other. And that is amazing. So I really want to celebrate that we serve an open field of lucid, spacious awareness by each engaging to the best of our capacities at any moment, and that is sufficient. So I'm really wanting to encourage you to let go of the striving, to let go of the judgments and the self-punishment by imagining that it's solely down to you to bring into being that which wants to live through you. So this might seem a bit counterintuitive, but I'm asking you to relax, as this will naturally brighten the mirror in which we can each all see the veils of thought coverings that are holding us out from fully participating in our co-created potential. So in relaxing, we come home to what I could feel awareness is itself, which is a joyful field of universal, unconditional love, welcoming us all as we are. So how could we resist such an invitation? This is from Rumi. Some of you will know this. I think it's a beautiful poem that illustrates this. You breathe, new shapes appear, and the music of a desire as widespread as spring begins to move, like a great wagon. Drive slowly. Some of us are walking alongside who are lame. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. So I'm suggesting this morning that the most useful thing we can do as a Sangha to support each of us is to learn to trust the nature of awareness itself. Trust it so that it allows us to sufficiently be able to deeply relax and open our psychophysical organism into this field beyond right and wrong. Relax to allow our natural tender heart response to what is actually here to become visible. And key to this process is to attend to the qualities of awareness itself as the container or the field in which any particular sensation or experience is arising. So hopefully by leaning into the qualities of awareness, we'll discover that awareness is completely receptive. It receives all sensations without judgment. It's stable. It can't be made to tremble. It's unmoved by pain or pleasure. It's boundless. It reveals a fertile ground of interdependence, interconnectedness, and empathy beyond any views that can upset. Awareness is lucid and sensitive, able to draw out the fine detail, the nuances of all appearances. And resting in awareness is an expression of unconditional love. We can recognize it as being empty of any grasping. And because of that absence, it becomes abundant with potential. Our lives can manifest in any direction. And we can discover this sense of chimeros that I was talking about yesterday, that all appearances arising and passing are whole, are complete in themselves, amazing, pregnant with significance and meaning. And we can be loving witnesses to this. And traditionally, it's meditation that leads us to these revelations. And what I'm hoping is that to show is that Sangha can also open us into this territory, this beautiful field. So what I want to do is just go back to this essential teaching that we offer at every introductory course. And this is Sangha Retreat's teaching on the gap. It's such a fundamental core practice, and it really surprises me that we're often looking elsewhere for more esoteric or exotic teachings. In a way, we could say that relaxing into the gap is the whole path. So we'll just remind ourselves that the whole of the spiritual life, according to this teaching, takes place between the two links on the Nadana chain of feeling and craving. or as Divan has recently translated it as thirst, feeling and thirst. So the teaching tells us we can't stop feelings arising. They're part of this package of being embodied, a human being. So feelings are arising without our bidding, independent on contact. And contact via the sense organs is made with this endless display of appearances all around us. We are touched by the world, which generates this somatic cloud that we were talking about last night, this somatic cloud of sensations infused with feelings. And our work, our practice, is to bring as much kind, spacious awareness as possible to these sensations and their associated feelings. So we're not trying to control them, but simply to manifest in a field beyond wrongdoing and right doing. That is, without judgment. And crucially, within this teaching, we're invited to notice what is called these veils of thirst that tend to distort this bare knowing, because they're filtering the knowing of the cloud to try to recreate or reinforce a particular state or a particular view that is strengthening our deluded sense of an existent, separate selfhood. So hopefully we're kind of very familiar with this this sense of the gap, and just to reinforce it, this is the teaching from Bhadra. Bhadra, you should train yourself thus. In the seen will be merely what is seen. In the heard will be merely what is heard. In the sensed will be what is merely what is sensed. In the cognized will be merely what is cognized. In this way you should train yourself. When Bhadra, for you in the seen is merely the seen, what is seen, etc., then you will not be with that. When Bhadra you are not with that, then Bhadra you will not be in that. And when Bhadra you're not in that, then you will be neither here nor beyond, nor in between the two. And just this is the end of suffering. So I think that last section, when you are not with that, in that, when you're neither here nor beyond nor in between the two, just this is the end of suffering. And these last phrases really invite us into this, what is really a radical practice of Sangha. So I suggested yesterday that bringing sensitivity to the different qualities of eros can really help create a mutual mirror to help us witness with greater clarity and sensitivity the ways in which we bind ourselves and each other into predetermined forms. The nature of awareness, particularly the mirror of awareness, is that it reflects things just as they are. It clearly reflects back the bare sensations, but also it reflects back the arising of the veils of views and habits that are obscuring this natural lucid wisdom and compassionate responsiveness which is inherent in shunyata. So I'm going to try to share experientially how to establish and develop this quality of clear mirror-like awareness. So I'm wanting to do this as an interpersonal insight practice. This is creating a mutually reflecting mirror that looks simultaneously at our own inner and outer experience, whilst in the company of each other. So I hope through that we can recognize this potential for co-creating this living mirror, which I think is, in my opinion, is really underutilized aspect of Sangha, which we could all draw on. So I'm going to invite you now into a short reflection. So I invite you just to get yourselves comfortable and just settle down, close your eyes. Let's see what happens. So first of all, welcome to this inner world. As our eyes close, we become more sensitive to what's happening internally in our bodies, in our emotional life, our thought processes, probably all become much more visible to us. So in this inner world, we recognize this, the thoughts arising and fading, the views and judgments, probably an internal commentary. But hopefully we'll also feel the sensations of the breath and any places of tension, places of energy, of absence, of brightness. And what I invite you to do is just notice the relationship between your mental activity and how it's affecting your capacity to know this somatic cloud of sensation. The sensations of the body blossoming into awareness, giving us this sense of our bodies, our being. We talk about this somatic cloud because we have this mixing of sensations and thoughts, emotions, like clouds arising and fading in a clear blue sky. And can we notice that there's space between these sensations, between these thoughts? Can we notice that everything that arises, that appears, is arising and opening into awareness? And that the quality of awareness is unchanging, unaffected by what appears within it. Now I invite you to just open your eyes very slightly, the smallest amount possible, just to allow the sense of light into the organ of the eye. Getting that sense of colour, texture. And this outer world may seem quite solid, real and concrete in relation to this inner world of fleeting sensations and thoughts. With the eyes just slightly open, can we maintain our attention on our inner experience? Can we find that point of balance where we can keep this perceptions through the eye in balance with this internal sense of the somatic cloud, body sensations, thoughts and emotions, and the eye. So we might notice that we have to broaden our attention, broaden our awareness to hold this sense of inner and outer. And now opening our eyes fully. As we do so, seeing as it's possible to still maintain that connection to our inner experience. Can we recognize how what we are seeing, what we are hearing, is influencing this internal sense, our internal experience? And just listen to this. Listen to me now. Know that all that arises is never separate from unconditional love. Just this, resting in awareness, is an act of love. Whatever appears can be held by love. And then when you feel ready, just allowing your eyes to close, rest. And then when you're ready, just opening your eyes again and we'll continue. So this short exercise, what I was trying to point to there is that the practice of Sangha is really the cremation ground of fixed views. And this cremation ground is established by bringing sensitivity simultaneously both to our apparently inner and our outer life. And I'm describing this process of working with inner and outer simultaneously as establishing the mirror. Because in it we might be able to see more clearly the dance between stimulus and response, our views and our direct experience. And at its most basic level, we can usefully notice what is being activated, what is stimulating any sense of grip, and what is activating any sense of release. So the mirror is revealing when the energy is becoming activated within the somatic cloud, and when we are becoming numb or absent to ourselves. And I think it's really helpful to look at this mirror in this way, this relational arena of Sangha, because it's here that the limiting views that have been established by our personal history, by the social influences of the family and the wider society, by our desire to be loved, our desire to get it right, to find safety, the desire to avoid vulnerability, all these things can become much more sensitive to, and we can allow them to be present. We don't have to do anything more with them. Simply being present to these patternings of our experience can allow them just to be there, and through that they are able to be held in this broad field of awareness without necessarily have to being acted out. And it's in this way that the defenses, these veils, are burnt through. They're transformed into nutrient through the light of awareness. Because it's important to remember that what I'm describing here and the theme for the retreat is joy in the cremation ground. So it's both liberating and painful to see with greater clarity how we bind and how we release, where we deny our potential, where we limit our birthright as sensing, responding human beings. And the core of this training in practice of Sangha is develop this capacity to remain sensitive to the relation between our inner and our outer life by creating this sense of a mirror of presence that we can gaze into when in conscious communication with each other. So I'm aware of the time. I think I'm probably going to have to leave it there. I hope that's enough. I hope that's sufficient to give us just an indication of well, how we might work with what I'm describing and what the Dharma describes as the veils, these conditioning factors that distort our clear seeing, our clear knowing. We'll leave it there for now.